All right. So, first things first, how are you?
Very well, yeah.
Pretty good, you know.
Good to hear.
Good to be here.
Before we get into the new album, I'd like to jump back a little bit. Do you remember the first time you kind of set foot in the Windmill and hung out there?
Well, yeah, I remember like the first time I went there as a paying customer.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of went to go see Warm Dusha when I was 17. And yeah, went and I was like, hey, I might come back here. This place is pretty cool.
It's yeah, it was always kind of like when you watch the bands there, it was like you could really imagine like being a part of it as well. It didn't feel like so distant. Like with normal gigs, you kind of go and you pay your money and just like it was really like separate from the stage and the audience. So yeah, when I first went there, I kind of noticed the connection and like I like from then on wanted to be playing and like putting on my own gigs there kind of thing. So yeah.
At this time, did you make your own music already?
I think so. It wasn't like so much electronic.
Okay.
Like, I mean, like amplified sort of guitars. I think it was more acoustic, singer-songwriter types of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I think we kind of evolved it from going to gigs. We were like inspired by that sort of like live setting of it.
And what was it about that setting that kind of made you want to be part of it?
I think just the like openness that everyone has, and it's almost like a safe space to be able to like create anything you want in terms of like you can put on your own exhibitions, put on like movie nights, karaoke nights. I don't know. There's just like such a varied like
there's like a
world of things.
Freeness to it, a sense of community.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, just like the relaxed nature of it all. Like I don't know. With most music venues, it feels like almost like it's a business and it's set up to be making money and not to be like appreciative of the art form itself. But there, it's just like people are listening to the music and they're appreciating it, and like I don't know. It just feels like a really special atmosphere. I think.
Do you remember the first time you played there?
I think so.
I remember the first, few times, but I can't actually remember like the first time.
The first time that's like stuck in my head for me was probably like the Halloween show or something. Maybe.
Was that first?
Maybe that, no, that was like way later.
That was like 2 months ago.
That was like a week ago. I never remember that.
I remember playing with Monk and Shane. Was that the first one?
Oh, actually, yeah, that was the first one was the chubby, no, not chubby, what are they called?
Chimney Shitters.
Chimney Shitters. Yeah, it's like a night Shane put on, friends from Windmill. And yeah, that was pretty fun because it's like all your friends were there watching and it's just like everyone was getting into it. I don't know, we're pretty like kind of static on stage, and so it's quite funny to like have the like contrast of us being really static and then like the audience just like I don't know, trying to move to like our really slow song. But, that was pretty funny.
I don't remember like the show itself. I don't remember it.
Do you remember, because I can imagine those were some of the first shows also that you've done, kind of what those first couple of months meant to where you are now?
I think, I don't know, just kind of, wait, what was the question?
Well, the kind of, was that period, especially those first couple of shows and then kind of getting into that atmosphere, how important was that to where you are now?
Oh, very important.
It probably like evolved us in terms of like, I don't know, it being like more of thinking of it more of as like a performance rather than it just existing in like the attic of my house, like where we were all kind of like comfortable, just like sitting down and like having like a relaxed kind of nature. I mean, it's always kept that quality, like the naturalness of us playing on stage. But I think maybe it was the awareness of like people actually like appreciating what we're doing and wanting to kind of like put it down into like sort of like on record and being able to experiment it more kind of like that way and develop it. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they did. I think they are important. Made a lot of friends and I don't know, just like anyone's first gigs anyway, I guess, are quite important. It's kind of like you kind of see like whether you like enjoy it and like you get the feeling you're like, oh yeah, like this is this is what I want to be doing, kind of thing.
So I assume it went well, and you kind of figure out, okay, this is kind of the road we want to go now?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it was like always the thing that was going to exist with us anyway. It's like we all grew up with music and like having a passion for it in the first place. So I think it would exist no matter what, but like having the Windmill as that kind of space to be able to go to is just like definitely, I don't know, catered towards us being able to like exist with our sort of friends and like in a kind of communal sort of sense with our music. This is Naima.
And this is Ellie.
This is a lot.
Nah, this is Brother Jack and Cecil.
And do they have a special significance?
They're just really top guys.
Just helping us through this journey.
Fair enough. So, well, we kind of talked about the atmosphere you were kind of brought up in. So what I want to get to is, you said you were already making music at that point. Do you remember the first song that as a collective you were proud of?
It was probably one of our earlier songs was Crow Cries, which is like kind of weird because that's a single that we released quite recently. But that was one that kind of, I don't know, sort of naturally fell into place and was the kind of beginning for like us working together in the way that it just like all sort of like moulded in like a kind of perfect way. Like you didn't really have to like sort of orchestrate it as much as we used to. It was just kind of like we all kind of heard the same thing and what we wanted from the songs, and it just naturally fell into place. And I think that was probably like the first song I remember that kind of feeling happening.
You mentioned that you kind of have very different tastes in music. So how does the songwriting happen? And for instance, with that song, how did it kind of come to be?
I don't know. We have like all varied tastes in music. I think we can all agree on like the music that we listen to, but I think there's like a mutual love for sort of like dissonant, scratchy guitar music kind of stuff, like quite lo-fi.
Is there a particular reason why? Have you thought about it?
It's best not to think about it, I guess. I've tried to think
really know.
why I like it, but I don't know. I don't know why. But I don't think Ellie and Naima really like that anymore, do they?
I don't know. I think at the beginning we all loved this. Like we fell in love with this band, Concha Teasers. I guess it was just the like, I don't know, that partly the lyrics and partly just like the lo-fi quality of it. It was just like seemingly like a lack of care and like but like also not at all. Like there was so much thought behind that kind of music, but just like the way it's played with the like freedom that it has. I don't know. Maybe that was the attraction to it. But what was the thing?
And then how that song came to be, and how you work together with those different influences.
Yeah, I don't know. I think having different influences is like such a positive though, because everyone contributes like something different. You can kind of hear it in the sort of like, I don't know, in the way that you listen to sort of weird Ethiopian jazz and like the kind of like glitchy, like sort of offbeat rhythmics, like nature that it has to that. I don't know, I think that's something you add.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, I love kind of like quite sort of poppy music, and like, I don't know, maybe that comes through in the melodies of the like voice. And Naima, I don't know, yeah, Naima loves like bossa nova, Ellie loves like jazz. And you can kind of hear, like there's so many different sort of genres that I think can be heard in our songs, and that's why it's kind of weird when it's sort of like bubbled into just one thing of it being like indie rock, which is actually like such a boring genre to exist in. Like I think it doesn't like make, it doesn't like give me any thrill.
Like say anything about the actual music.
Yeah, it's kind of just like a lazy title, I guess.
But is that a difficult thing to kind of deal with then, that people are now trying to kind of define you or try to
I mean, it's
sum up what you do in a couple of words?
Yeah.
People need to do that. Like it's like we should probably think of like, I don't know, people always ask like, what kind of band are you in? I'm like, I don't know really.
I don't think it really matters though. I don't think that's like all the problems with genre titles anyway. It's like there's nothing that's really original in a sense. Everything's recycled from the past. Everything is inspired by something else, and so that's why it's kind of like hard to even like box it into one thing, because also you want it to be able to have the ability to expand into anything else. So it's like, I don't know, in general speaking terms, I guess you could say that we're like garage rock, but that's just like the basic foundation of it. I think there's so much more.
And then you can go any
Yeah,
which way.
but there's so much more involved. I don't know, like, it's kind of hard to... We just kind of define it in words rather than genres. It's just like, I don't know, swampy, dissonant circus.
Folk.
Yeah. I don't know.
In that sense, then, is there maybe, because you mentioned Ethiopian music, jazz music, is there a song that you think people might be surprised by if they hear it
What, on the album?
on the album?
Well, I mean, if they come to see us live, then no, because we literally, our live performance is just our album track list. But I think they'll be surprised by the way that it's been produced and like the different sort of like sounds that we've explored in it. I think maybe a song that would surprise would be Bone, because it's got quite a different feel to the rest of them. It's got quite a sort of like 80s synth sort of Twin Peaks type sound, which I don't think we're like known for. Yeah, I think maybe that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say that one as well.
Because I'm not sure, but I read somewhere that you see the live shows as a big something quite different than the album. So
Yeah.
saying that it's the sameness. So how does it differ then? Well, what happens at the live show?
Just a lot better. It's just kind of like how we sound live, but we've added extra things and what have we added? We've added
Added the whales.
We've added what have we added?
Added the company.
I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, let me ask you differently then, because you say you're quite static on stage. So is one of the things to try and get people to move? Is that something you want to do, or do you want them to listen?
I mean, it helps with the movement. But I don't know, I don't think I really mind either way, because it's kind of, it's nice having like people like going crazy, but also it's really nice just like feeling like you're really trying to make someone go crazy, and like you're almost like staring at them, just like I don't know, like it's a different kind of approach that you have, and maybe like that second one is just like maybe makes you more kind of like in your own head and bubble and like more excited by this, like what you're doing or something.
Right.